Here's the book as it appears in the stores at this moment in time, a dazzling blend of social commentary, tall tale, and magic realism.
Our daughter fell in love with this book named Holes by Louis Sachar, and she came running up to me and she said, "Mommy, you should play this awful person, the warden in Holes." And I sort of glanced at it and I read her making these boys dig holes in the desert. You know, she stood there, you know, this sort of shapely redhead. And I have to say, it was, I read the book after I was sent the script, but I never forgot. She loved that book. Her whole generation just loves the book. And the fact that they had gone ahead and gotten Louis to write the script, I thought was such a great move.
I moved from San Francisco to Texas in 1991. And the hardest part was just the long, hot summers. You know, you kind of expect it to be hot in July and August. But it's still, when the summers just drag on to September and October, and it's 95 degrees out, it's just really miserable. And when I first started writing Holes, I just was writing about the heat. It was almost like therapy. And I imagined this boot camp for kids where they'd have to dig under the hot sun every day. And the story just kind of grew from that. I had the place before I had any of the characters, but it was never my intention to make it a grim story. It was always going to be a kind of a fun adventure story. So I knew from the beginning that even though they were digging to build character, that there'd be buried treasure and that there'd be an escape and all that. But the story just sort of, you know, just grew as I wrote.
Well, Miss Catherine, I guarantee that roof for 5 years, if there's anything else.
The windows won't open, and the children and I would enjoy a breeze now and then.
I can fix that.
My writing routine's a lot different from when I was writing a novel to writing a screenplay. When I write a novel, I write maybe only for the first draft, maybe an hour, hour and a half a day. And on any day, if somebody asked me, you know, how'd it go today, I probably would have said, oh, nothing, you know, it was a wasted day, I didn't do anything. It took me 1.5 years to write Holes, doing a few pages a day. And somehow all those wasted days, when you put them together, it turns into something. And during that whole time, I never talked to anyone about what I'm working on, never told my wife or my daughter anything about the book. You know, I might say, you know, after 6 months, I might say, I finished the first draft today. And then, you know, after 1.5 years, I probably did 5 drafts and finally let someone else see it. With the screenplay, it's a much more collaborative effort.
One of the joys of making the movie to me was working with Louis Sachar, who, you know, originally said, oh gosh, I don't know anything about Hollywood, and I'm afraid I've heard horror stories about what's happened to writers who sell their books to Hollywood filmmakers and producers. And I made a commitment to myself and to Teresa Tucker Davies, who's really responsible for finding the book Holes, and Lowell Blank, the producers of the movie, that I was going to make Louis a part of the making of the movie. Because I didn't want to make a movie that was about a wonderfully appreciated book that didn't reflect the book, whose author said, I don't want anything to do with this.
Well, my first touch with the book actually came from Andy Davis, who I'd worked on several movies, you know, together with. And when Andy sent me the book, it's so different from everything I've done before. I love the idea of going back and doing a children's story because I have a 4-year-old, and it'd be great actually to come home and say, hey, here's a movie that, you know, you can see. And yet it's a book that touches everybody, you know, and forget the fact that it was on the bestseller list for a number of years. I mean, Louis Sachar has really hit a nerve in a lot of kids.
So when we met Louis and convinced them that we should be the ones he should sell the rights to the book to, we started looking for a screenwriter. And I said, hold it, I'm a visual director. You know, I was a cameraman. I've worked with a lot of writers on a lot of scripts. I will work with you, and you will write the script. And we will figure out together how to take your story and your characters and your settings and make it into a movie.
Morris Menke is a schmuck.
You know, I'd never been on a movie set before. I've just been totally impressed by everyone, especially Andy Davis. His patience, his control, his ideas, you know, shooting different scenes from different angles and telling each actor how to play it and keeping it all moving. And I don't think I even ever realized what a director did before.
And he's gets out. He goes like this, and the thing spins, right? And as it spins, he goes like this, right? That's really good. Now it's up again, right?
I've never worked with anyone like Andy who took so much responsibility for every single person's welfare. I mean, the first day we went out there, he drove us out there. He wanted John and Tim and I to see where it was, where we were going to be shooting, and he gave us all this sunblock and, you know, the talk about the water and the hats and everything. And he was so fatherly to us.
I'm lucky to be the son of an actor.
Did you say Zarodi?
Sure did.
My father, Nate Davis, is actually in the movie. He plays Henry Winkler's father. Then, John, we'll just play when you're very excited, you know what I mean?
I was thinking maybe I drove her.
Excuse me? You did not. I don't let anyone drive my car.
I think maybe I just walked over it.
Having John Voight around, who has a big part in the movie, was very inspirational for both the kids and for John. And I think John has created something which is really quite magical.
Well, Andy and I have seen each other over the years, and we were looking to work together. We talked about it, and then this came up, and he gave me a call, and I'm very happy working with him. He's a wonderful man, Andy, and I think that he's a wonderful filmmaker. This has been a very happy experience for us.
What's not to say about Andy Davis? He's a genius, man. The Fugitive, it's an incredible film, you know what I mean? Every film that he's done has that Andy flavor to it. It's an interesting way of directing, too. He's creating this character with you because it's his baby, and it's your baby. And you guys got to find a way to get through this and make a movie. He expresses himself so well that he gets things done, you know? He talks to the grips like, you know, like they're people, you know? It's not like he's going, oh, handle this, handle this. He knows everything going on.
I think Shia is a tremendously talented actor. And I related to Shia as mature an actor as I've ever worked with. And he brought great things to the part, and it was wonderful working with him.
I always thought of the warden as a strong, quiet person who, instead of yelling and shouting to get people to toe the line, all she has to do is just say, "Excuse me," and everyone just does what she says.
Sigourney is basically a real double-faced character who can seem very sweet and endearing when somebody finds something in the ground that she thinks may relate to the treasure of Kate Barlow.
And Sigourney Weaver just does it perfectly. She just seems to have completely understood that character from the beginning and just seems to have that power. And she's feminine, yet tough, and it's just a great combination.
Oh, no, I'm fine. I have plenty.
Excuse me?
I might have drinking some.
Thank you. May I have your canteen, please?
Oh, God.
This is such a wonderful story for kids and grown-ups. And the idea that this boy ends up in this terrible place, and after trying to help a friend and believing in his own instincts, manages to bring this whole group of people out of this terrible situation into a situation of hope.
Seeing the movie being made has just been a great experience. I think that one day I was typing these words, and the next, 3 years later, this whole thing is happening. It's just been amazing.
We're not all going to be together anymore after tonight.
Everybody dreams of finding the great book to make a movie out of, and I think that I was lucky enough to find it.